friends, I'm here at Mount Rainier, and I am here with my Take Out Jesus. My husband and I came for a walk and could see the mountain so clearly, and it reminded me of a Bible story, so I'm going to talk to you about that. Hi friends, have you ever wondered what Jesus looked like? Was he white? Was he black? Did he have red hair and blue eyes? And actually, knowing that he was from the Middle East, we know that he most certainly was not quite as white as I am. He must have been darker, and he would have had dark hair and dark eyes, most likely. But whatever his skin color, he still looked like an ordinary man. You couldn't tell he was the Son of God just by looking at him. And so that confused even his closest friends. They really couldn't quite understand this thing about him being the Messiah, the Son of God. They wanted to believe, but it was not super clear. Even though he performed miracles and healed people, and they got to watch that, they were still slightly confused, didn't quite fully grasp. He took 3 close friends, Peter, James, and John, up to a mountain. I'm up here at Mount Rainier. Made me think of this story. So imagine Jesus taking some friends up to this mountain, and he is then transfigured. That's a new word. Can you say transfigured? That means to change. He changed the way he looked. So let's read about that in Matthew chapter 17. Jesus took Peter, James, and John, the brother of James, up on a high mountain. They were all alone there. While they watched, Jesus was changed. His face became bright like the sun, and his clothes became white as light. Jesus was glowing? Well, maybe he wasn't, but his clothes were glowing white? I bet you didn't look like an ordinary man at that point. So what was he doing? He was showing his friends a little bit of God's glory. They didn't get to see all of his glory, because if you see all of God's glory, it's too much. It's too bright. You would be frightened, you would fall down, you'd be paralyzed. It's just that incredible. Let's find out what happens next. Then 2 men were there, talking with him. The men were Moses and Elijah. And Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, it is good that we are here. If you want, I will put up 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, and Elijah." Now, I imagine Peter was pretty shocked, seeing Jesus glowing, seeing Elijah and Moses. They'd been dead a long time before Peter was even born. Of course, he knew who they were. But why are they there now? He didn't know what to say. But he thought of something, as so often we do when we don't know what to say. He figured, I'll offer to make tents. I'll make one for Moses, one for Elijah, and one for Jesus. Do you think they needed tents? Were they going camping up the mountain? I don't think so. While Peter was talking about tents, a bright cloud covered them. A voice came from the cloud. The voice said, "This is my son, and I love him. I am very pleased with him. Obey him." The followers with Jesus heard the voice. They were so frightened that they fell to the ground. A bright cloud? A bright talking cloud? The voice said, "This is my son, and I love him. I am very pleased with him. Obey him." No wonder they fell down. I would too. But who was it that was talking? Remember what the voice said? "This is my son." It was God's voice. God was talking to them. Again, showing a little bit of his glory, but it was so scary that they fell down. I think they're pretty sure at this point Jesus really is no ordinary man. But while they're laying here on the ground terrified, let's find out what happens next. Jesus went to them and touched them, and he said, "Stand up, don't be afraid." When the followers looked up, they saw Jesus was now alone. Now Jesus knew that seeing a little bit, even a tiny bit of God's glory would be terrifying for his friends. So he reached over and touched them and said, "Don't be afraid. I'm right here." And when they looked up, it was just Jesus standing there. And he looked like an ordinary Middle Eastern Jewish man. But they knew better. Now they had seen that little bit of God's glory, and they understood he was to be listened to. He is God's son, and there's no question anymore. And there's no question for us either. We have this story to help us understand. We have all the miracles. We have the Bible to tell us all about Jesus. So now that you know, Jesus is God's Son and He's our Savior. Be sure and pay attention and follow His word. Take your Take Out Jesus with you this week when you go out, wherever you go, whether you come to a mountain like this, but think about Jesus wherever you go. Have a great summer, and we'll see you next week. Peace be with you, friends. Hi everybody, so for today's craft on Transfiguration, remember that word? It means to change, and Jesus was changed from an ordinary looking man to glowing white. So you'll find in your envelope that says Transfiguration on it, this piece of paper with some instructions, and also this piece of paper, this little guy here. On this piece of paper, what you're going to do is you're going to cut out right there in those dark lines. So you'll end up with that. See my hand back there? So that's the only part you cut out. Here, let's do it this way. There you go. So you can see just the middle part of his clothes is what you cut out. You also will find in your envelope a piece of wax paper. And I want to put that on the back, just hold it there and kind of cut it to the right size so it doesn't overlap the front. So I just cut it down so that it can cover that hole, and then I tape it on the back. Just use some tape. And this is the part where it might be helpful to have a second set of hands, mom or dad or brother or sister help you out. But you're going to roll that, once you've taped it, roll this piece of paper and tape it onto the candle, that little tea light candle that's in your envelope. You use tape. I put tape up the sides and all around the bottom to hold it there. And this verse says, "This is my son whom I love. Listen to him." And that's the verse that we had in today's Bible, or Bible lesson. And turn on that candle, and there you go. He's changed. So I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Have fun with your candle. We'll see you another time. Bye-bye.